Do you or one of your clients have an issue with low conversion on your website? If you do, stick around because today's video is going to be really helpful. My name is Jen Clinehens. I am a customer experience and marketing psychology expert. In my career, I've been able to work with brands like AT&T, McDonald's, Starbucks, and Adidas. And now I'm the managing director of a customer experience agency called Choice Hacking. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through my process when a client approaches me and says that they have an issue with low conversion. And actually, today's video was inspired by one of my students in my course, How to Find and Win Clients with Science, named Anna. Anna asked, let's say you're approached with a client issue of low conversion rate. What would be your mental process approach towards creating a solution? How would the deliverable document look? Well, Anna, today is your lucky day because I'm going to walk through my entire process from beginning to end, and then I'm going to talk about what a deliverable document for a project like this should and could look like. Along the way, I'm going to talk about some behavioral science and some customer experience frameworks that help me approach a problem like this. And if you want to learn marketing psychology and behavioral science for free, you can do that in less than 5 minutes a week with my free Choice Hacking newsletter. You'll join more than 7,000 smart, passionate folks from brands like Google, Coke, and Disney who get my newsletter. Now let's get on with the case study. Here's how I approach a low conversion rate project. There's going to be two parts to this video. First, I'm going to do an overview of my process. And second, I'm going to focus on the format of client deliverables. What are you actually handing over to a client when they ask you to solve a low conversion rate problem? The goal of a project like this is to leave clients feeling like they have the tools to succeed. And we want to answer questions like, what are we doing right now? What are we missing out on right now? Where are users falling off? And how do we fix all of this? The tools that I tend to use are business as usual, kind of CX strategy and analysis frameworks. I use some behavioral science and psychology principles. And then I also use my own bespoke frameworks and approaches that I've just built through years and years of doing projects like these. If you're new to this channel, this is going to be different than most of my other videos. This is a deep dive, so we're going to be covering some really noodly stuff. This is a longer video than usual. And if you like the video, could you please leave a comment and a like so I know that I should keep making videos like this one. And if I don't get any comments and I don't get any likes, then I'll stop making videos like this. First, my process. Like nearly every consultant and designer on earth, I use a version of the 4D framework. Mine is slightly tweaked, like I think everybody's is. And my first phase is discover and audit. The second one is define, then design, deploy, and test. So let's go through each one of these phases and I'll talk about what I do, what gets delivered, and the tools that I use. Let's start with discover and audit. In this phase, I'm mapping the current user behavior and starting to identify those barriers to conversion. So what's stopping people? And last, I'm looking for those psychological and visual design or salience barriers that might be stopping users from converting. Some of the tools that I would use to do this, it's not limited to this, but this is a good list, would be things like user interviews. And I use a behavioral science framework called COM-B to help frame these. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but I will make other videos explaining how I use COM-B to do behavioral science informed user interviews. I do observation, so some data analysis, customer journey mapping, desk research, so just Googling around, doing literature reviews in scientific studies, just trying to see what's existing that I can take advantage of. Additional behavioral science frameworks like the Hook framework or EAST, and then heat mapping and session recording. So I use a tool called Hotjar. Some of my clients use different tools. Basically, I can see anonymized data of somebody going through the website and maybe getting stuck on something or presenting barriers. I can actually see what people are doing in context in the moment. And then last, I also do a visual salience analysis. I'll get into this in other videos, but I use a tool called Dragonfly AI to do that, which gives us a good guide on what customers are noticing and what they might be missing in terms of elements on the page. And then outputs of the discovery phase, usually some mix of these, but I almost always have a customer journey map with behavioral swim lanes, so I can use psychology and behavioral science to start to unpack why people are doing what they're doing and why they might be getting caught up in certain areas. I do a gap analysis, which basically says, this is what we want to achieve, but this is where we are currently, and where are the gaps between those two. I use the Choice Behavioral Scorecard, which is a bespoke framework that I actually lay out in my book, Choice Hacking, that you can get on Amazon or you can buy on my website, choicehacking.com. And then I start to come out of this phase with some idea of underlying drivers of low conversion and where people are falling out of the process. This will all be refined in the define phase, but it is something that I'm starting to sort of swirl around in my head and starting to create some hypotheses about that will then create solutions for later in the project. And if you want to learn about the behavioral science principles behind some of these techniques that I'm using and my approach to using psychology and behavioral science to solve issues like these, then check out the Choice Hacking podcast. So just search Choice Hacking in your podcast platform of choice, or check the links in the description below. I've shared links to Spotify. There's a YouTube playlist that has all the episodes, and then Apple Podcasts, but you can find it on whichever platform that you use because it's everywhere. Now the define phase. So in this phase, I'm taking my insights and I'm starting to turn them into problem statements and hypotheses. An example of a problem statement with some hypotheses might be something like this. 95% of users who visit our lead page spend more than 2 minutes browsing, but they aren't filling out our form. I'm hypothesizing that this might be because the form's too far down the page, it's not salient enough to find, and it takes too long to load. So just an example of problem statements and hypotheses. Then in the design phase is where it gets really fun. In this phase, I'm delivering solutions that are powered by behavioral science and psychology, and those are in mock-up form. Now, these are usually handed off to a design, marketing, creative, or a UX team at the conclusion of my project, and then they turn those rough mock-ups and sketches into polished, beautiful, creative solutions. Often a part of this process involves me working with these teams, and I will communicate the issues that I found, I will deliver all of the findings that I've put together, and then also walk them through the solutions I recommend. In some projects, I will actually go so far as to stay alongside these creative teams until the creative is approved and launched, but that doesn't always happen. I just want to give you a little flavor for the kind of things I'm talking about when I say customer journey map or rough mock-up. But in order to protect my client's privacy, these are not actual examples from real life projects. These are just examples of how outputs might look. And these are just from like a Google image search. But I think you kind of get a rough idea. Last is deploy and test. In this phase, I'm creating a testing roadmap for clients, and then I'm handing off some recommendations to creative teams, just depending on the type of brand or company I'm working with. Usually testing plans are like these big boring slides with these granular recommendations of what elements need to be tested, when, and how. So they're not very sexy slides, but they need to give the client a really granular direction for what to do after I hand off this project and I sort of transition away. Another thing that I like to do is putting together a priority matrix, something like this where you have, a 2x2 with impact versus effort, plotting what different fixes might take in terms of effort and cost, and then what they might give back to you in terms of impact. We think this is going to make a huge difference and cost no money. Well, that's a quick win, right? We can do that easily. We can do it tomorrow. It costs nothing and it gives us a big win. Okay, immediately we have to do that. But if you have something that's going to take a lot of time, cost a lot of money, but have a really big impact on users and on conversion rates, then that's going to land up in something like major projects. It's something that needs to get done, but we're not going to get it done in the next 24 hours. Now, the very last section, let's talk about deliverables. But first, if you want to learn more about using behavioral science to solve marketing problems like this one, I'd encourage you to visit my website, choicehacking.academy. This is where we have all of our courses that you can use to upgrade your skills and your resumes. You'll actually get a blockchain certified course certificate once you complete all the materials. So visit choicehacking.academy, see what courses we have, and see if one might be right for you. Now, in terms of what we're going to deliver, it's basically these 3 sections. Personally, I like to deliver things at milestone dates. So while this could be one giant presentation deck that has 3 different sections, and these are the 3 sections, I personally like to deliver these as 3 separate presentations that I take the client through during the process of completing this project so that people feel bought into things. They don't feel like the last presentation is a big scary surprise, and they feel like they're kind of coming along with me on this journey. In Discover and Define, this section or this deck would have things like the customer journey map, the salience analyses, the gap analysis, and our problem statements. In recommendations, this would be mock-ups and messaging of proposed solutions. And then in roadmap and testing, this is going to be a testing plan, a prioritization matrix, and a roadmap. And really, it's these three big sections that leave our client with that meaty set of recommendations. It gives them something visual. It gives them all of our thinking, a lot of extra information, which even though it doesn't make it into recommendations, the discovery and define information is really rich. It is worth saying that this approach and these deliverables might flex depending on what type of client you have. I mean, the scope of the project, maybe it's bigger or smaller, and the skill sets on the team. And last but not least, the budgets that they have to actually pay you to go out and do a project like this. If you have any questions about kind of the process that I follow, the deliverables that I give clients, please leave a comment below. Let me know if you like this video, give it a like and leave a positive comment so I know if I should do more of these deep dive videos or if you're like, no, this isn't really for me. Either way, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you next time.